Welcome everybody to the PredictIt podcast. I'm Jacob Studwell. I'm here with Garth Juckem. Did you see the popular vote referenda? Spamberger signed. Yes, we're down to So
Yep.
we're 45 electoral votes away from enacting this group. Yeah, well, I'll do it if he does it, and they'll do it if they do it, and if they do it, I'll do it.
Yeah, my ski group was chatting about that. It's kind of actually a draw a line to tomorrow's referendum. I don't know if you've seen the question for what the voter referendum is like for fair. Like it's completely like a loaded question
It's kind of
and so
dystopian, right?
biased.
With the fairness in it.
The
It's the
fairness in
fairness
it.
that gets me. Yeah.
It's so again the whole electoral college thing. It's just like. I mean, this is a way to get around things. I mean, I guess if it works, it works, but like they've been working on it for a very, very long time.
This is a thing that came up in high school for me. Like they were like,
Yeah,
"Oh yeah, this national popular vote compact. This,
yeah.
oh, it exists, but I don't know. They probably had 150 electoral votes. Now they're up
Uh,
to 222. So it
what is it?
seems
It's
within
20 states or something like that.
it's right just below 20. It's probably like
Just below 20.
17 or something. And I guess, oh, well, there's pending. Okay, interesting. So I don't really know what pending means on this map that I'm looking at.
Right,
Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Kansas, Arizona. Does pending mean yes?
right. And so, and can you back out of it if you switch like, who's in power, or is
Right.
it like
Is it
binding?
executive order based or is it no? I think it's probably passed by the actual state's Congress and signed because it sounded like Spamberger signed the bill, like a
Right,
Virginia bill. So I think
right.
it's
Well,
harder, if the state's legislative branch accesses it, you could do that. But that's
but say the Republicans get back in power, do they just whoop and we're out?
I guess so. It's a good
I
point.
mean,
It's maybe it's a harder. I don't know. It's just doing anything
because
legislatively.
like why would Kansas sign on to that? Like
That's
I
what I
it
don't
don't
understand.
like
But maybe they're, I don't know what pending means. Maybe is it like a pocket veto for the governor of Kansas to just like never sign the bill that was passed or something? Well, I don't know. Let's explore in the future.
we
I'm
should.
into this national popular vote compact that will probably never happen, right? I mean,
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's this conversation we had with the ski group was like, yeah, like we should definitely be doing this. Why are you guys so crazy? Why is America like doing all these things? And like
all right.
I'm just going like those are the rules, man.
Yeah,
I didn't make them.
exactly. Like, I don't need Europeans' opinions on this, just to be
I,
honest. Like,
I just like if
just
you
get
want to
over it.
win, just move to Wyoming. It's not hard. It's beautiful. It's great.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm genuinely like, you can get as many voters registered as you want possible. What you really need is a relocation commission that just
Exactly.
pays you to go somewhere else. I don't know if that's legal or not, but if you
Probably
want
not.
to, to be honest, Republicans did it perfectly in, since 2020. They're like, yeah, it's beautiful down in these states. Like,
Yeah.
come live
Move
here.
here.
And it worked.
We've got nice tax structures
And
and,
this is why California is
affordable
like
houses.
freaking out and passing these
Yeah.
referenda, and I'm sure
Yeah.
Virginia's population went down too. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for good
yeah,
reason.
2030 is going to be a wild, wild ride.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, it's hard to get through like 1 week though. I can't like the financial markets are just insane. I've never felt like they take a deke so poorly. Like Trump just kind of like shuffles a little bit and they're like, "Oh my God." And it's funny because if you try to compare it to I think like the Senate market is easiest to say maybe
Right.
that's comparable to financial markets. But so the low of the S&P 500 was March 30th, the recent low, which
Yep.
is equivalent to where the market was in August, late August. So if you bought the dip in March, March 30th, you can essentially go back in time like 6, 7 months. And the low for Republicans in our Senate market was April 14th. So traders are waiting longer. So while the financial markets were on the climb on April 14th, traders basically said, actually, Democrats now have a 57% chance to take the Senate. So
Yeah.
I like to compare these two because I guess hedge funds are not making the same calculations that predicted traders are. That it's not that surprising, but it's weird.
Right.
Like these things should be at least a little bit in touch. This is the same market mechanics that like both work on,
Right.
and the S&P 500 and the Senate market, they're definitely correlated. I can absolutely pull that up and put them next to each other. They're correlated, but when they don't make when they don't make the same movements, there's probably some chance to arbitrage. I don't know. That's going to be a complicated arbitrage uh, move. I asked you last week. I said, "Oh, is it uh, not an embargo? Is it a blockade in name
Oh
only?"
yeah, in name only. Yeah, yeah.
And it can confirm not in name only. We have now
No,
taken the Tuska. We're
something
calling
like
it
that.
Tuska.
Yep,
I
an
don't know if
Iranian
it's like
cargo ship,
an Iranian.
Iranian flagged cargo ship. Correct.
Right. Right.
Correct
So
me if I'm wrong.
we've taken that 6 hours of warnings. Could you imagine? I wonder, like, just people on the ship are on the phone with, the Ayatollah's son, and they're like, "Should we keep going?" And forge ahead. So we've now taken an Iranian ship. This is we're just waffling back and forth, right? It doesn't seem like Israel is
Definitely.
actually going to agree to any real ceasefire in Lebanon. And this is the third rail. This is exactly why people say don't go into the Middle East, because it's not as simple as you think it is. And
Right.
ceasefires and agreements don't hold up easily. And
No.
you could say it over and over again, but the market really bought in to this last ceasefire as much as I did. To be clear, I also bought in. I thought it looks like Trump's going to get this inside straight. He's going to get a ceasefire with Israel and Hezbollah. He's going to, it looks like we're nearing a nuclear deal. It's crazy. Who could ever get a nuclear deal with Iran? I mean, besides Obama, who could ever do that? That's crazy.
Well, they gave away the house back then, but it's.
They did give away the house. That is definitely true.
I mean, that's one way to do a deal. No, it's the Iran stuff. Is I mean, I I think the hardliners are seeing an opportunity here. And I think they're just gonna to just twist as much as they possibly can, wrench as much as they possibly can out of it. I mean, the strait's been closed again today,
Mhm.
this morning, and it won't be that simple. Will they send people to peacekeepers or to diplomats to Pakistan? We don't know. Trump's saying that we're going to have another second round of talks, but the reality is that they might not happen anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Right.
what's the move, right?
You're kind of running out of options here, and we were talking about the Senate correlating with the S&P 500. I'm also looking at how many House seats will Republicans win in the 2026 midterm. That's also a really useful market to
Yep.
take a look at. 192 or fewer right now is at 43 cents.
Yep.
We'll track that. I think that contract in and of itself, and then if you bundle all the other contracts together, that's probably going to give you a really good calculus as well. I think the House is probably a little bit more direct to Trump's approval than the Senate is, considering how few the seats there are, very specific state dynamics. So
Yep.
if we take a look at the House, 192 or fewer at 43 cents, not a bad buy here. If you're trying to get into
No.
that house market, you're not going to buy 85 cents. So might as well kind of take the alt line, as they say, and 192 or fewer for Republicans after the Virginia referendum maybe passes. Maybe
Yep.
Florida kind of balks on their response. I tend to assume that Florida is going to respond to Virginia accurately, and it'll basically be a wash. But 192 or fewer, it's a big route for Democrats, but gas prices will probably stay at least around $4 for the time being.
Yeah.
And I love the Yogi Berraism. It's getting late early for Republicans here. We still got May, June, July, August, September,
Yeah.
October. So you do have those 6 months to climb back, but
I mean, if we're talking about tea leaves, The Hill is running a story this morning on the front page. Senate Republicans hope Supreme Court surprise could help save majority. They're already floating a story about Alito, retiring sometime this fall, but we're not pushing him. The language of this is just amazing. It's like, would they hope for this so that they can have some sort of a, get out the vote push? While you have to set aside the two arguments, right? I mean, getting Alito to retire to replace him with a younger justice is just the smart play. But at the same time, if you're hoping that that is what's going to propel you to salvage your midterm situation, and to go back to like even the Iran thing, I mean, this is moving further and further to a stalemate. And the longer it sits in a stalemate mode, gas prices will remain elevated and people will be reminded of that. And you'll be talking about Iran and talking about Iran and not talking about pocketbook issues while the pocketbook is getting hammered at the tank every week, twice a week, 3 times a week for people who are traveling for work and so on and so forth.
yeah,
So, yeah, this is, I mean,
it's now going to
yikes.
be it's a weekly thing that Scott Bessent says something that just sounds cringy to a regular average consumer in America. The more often he says something that's like, really? That's his real
Yeah.
opinion?
Wow.
It's going to catch up to him. Again, we say how many voters really watch these Sunday morning news shows. Well, at some point, they're going to be shown a clip, whether it's on their own volition or it's paid for by the Democratic Senate committee. So,
Yep. Yep.
and I like the Supreme Court point. First of all, go ask Democrats in 2016. Just hinging your voter turnout on the Supreme Court, not a driver here. Okay,
No.
it's similar to a democracy is on the line argument. It's just not tangible. It's tough. It's a little bit down the road. By the way, incredible Supreme Court story by the New York Times over the weekend on the secret docket. Basically started back in 2016. Obama rolled out really strict regulations on the coal industry, and Chief Justice Roberts basically was scrambling to put a stay on that uh, executive action. And ever since then, they've been just kind of throwing out, emergency actions left and right. And this is a brand new thing for the court. I love when in American history we kind of just like make the rules up as we go along. Like, oh, they can do that now. They can just kind of like say like, oh no, that's not legal. Before it was just for elections, which that's fair that we're not going to have like oral arguments for an election dispute. That's
Right.
pretty tough. And then it was also for like executions. That was the other thing that they did emergency stays for. Now it's for executive actions. So we're
Yeah.
getting very clear constitutional crises here, but it's very interesting how the court moves. And the Alito thing, we're getting like a proxy battle because
Yeah.
some people are like, Alito's going to retire. And now I'm seeing Alito's already hiring his staff for the next docket. So I don't think Alito's going to retire.
He's a really proud man. So, I mean, I just don't see it. Like,
Garth, can you be on the Supreme Court if you're not a proud person? You know,
yeah,
like, how do you
I
get
mean,
there if you're not proud?
wow, good point. These are good points, but but I think some characters are a little stronger than others. They're like, you're gonna wheel me out my dead body before I quit.
Yeah, some, if not all of them.
Yeah, yeah, for
That
life.
was the that was the crazy part with the original emergency stay in 2016 was Scalia was alive for only like 7 days after that happened.
Right.
If Scalia
Yeah.
RIP had passed away a week before, it would have been a
Right.
deadlock and nothing would have happened, and Obama would have like regulated the coal industry back in 2016. We wouldn't have had arguments about clean coal and bringing back the
Yeah.
coal industry in West
Clean
Virginia,
coal.
and it
Oh
would have
man,
almost
coal.
taken off an entire issue off the table.
Yeah.
Biden probably would have had to focus as much on clean energy and maybe could have built some more bridges or something. Infrastructure week. All this fledgling just to say, like, volatility, it's still there. We're still seeing it
It's
in financial markets. We'll probably continue to see it again in that house market, 192 seats or fewer. I like the buy at 4 to 3 cents. I just, how does this end properly? It doesn't look like, and it's really hinges on Israel's action in Lebanon. Iran does not want fighting to continue in Lebanon if they sign a ceasefire.
right.
So, it doesn't seem like Trump has a hold on that relationship or the IDF, and it doesn't seem like Bibi necessarily has a hold on commanders that are already in Lebanon. There's reports of, paying commanders how many buildings they knock down, and there's kind of chaos still going on in the Middle East. So it just doesn't look like that's ending. It's
It's
just gonna wrap up quickly.
I instantly thought of the Saints bounty program in the NFL.
Yep.
You
Yep.
mentioned that. Oh man, really clearly, Israel's singing off its own hymn sheet, and this is this wild card in the situation that is just pure volatility.
For our next segment, I'm super excited to revisit our Nostradamus piece because that was our most listened to, watched, commented on aspect of one of our early episodes in 2025. We're going to
Yep.
go over the different predictions that Nostradamus has and then start to kind of just grade him. Did
Yep.
Nostradamus already hit like a quarter in? We're not even 5 months in, and I think he's already starting to hit some of these. It's pretty crazy. Things are very general, so take things as you will. But let's go with quote one: "The great man will be struck down in a day by a thunderbolt." Are Do we think he was talking about the Supreme Leader Ayatollah
Definitely,
Ali Khamenei?
definitely.
Yeah, big fan. He's a big fan of the Supreme Leader. You know what? The word great, it has a connotation of, good, but it doesn't need to. Great just means important, paramount, if you
Exactly.
will. So
Supreme, even.
that is good stuff right there. That is very great, and supreme are confirmed synonyms. All right, so he nailed the first one. Now we're going with the overflow of blood. Now we kind of skipped this one back in December because we didn't really enjoy that.
Yeah,
But there was a war that started on February 28th. Apparently
I believe it's
2000.
called a conflict.
Oh, sorry,
Conflict. Yeah.
conflict. Now you've had this question come up a lot lately. You're like, so it's a war. When is Congress going to have to approve it? And I always tell you, no, I think officially it's a conflict, so Congress doesn't have to force a
Do.
vote. It's 60 days.
It's 60 days. Yep.
Apparently we're moving on. Democrats are just like, yeah, it is a conflict. You're right. It's definitely not a war at all. We're
Just
moving
silence
down the
on it.
line. It's a
Silence
weird.
on the topic.
Yeah, you would think they would force that vote or fight or say,
It's like they got all their sound bites in, and they're like, "All right, I'm good. Recording's done. Let's move on."
yeah. What, I mean, how many times has Trump called it a war? He's called it a war.
I know, but it's a
All right,
conflict.
so I think the overflow of blood, Nostradamus clearly nailed that. Although, like, he could say that any year. How
This
many
is true.
conflicts are there? It's pretty easy. All right, the next one was the craziest one. The great swarm of bees will arise by night. The ambush. Kind of sounds like Venezuela to me. I mean,
Yeah, it does. But you could
we're
also
also
be used for
drones.
Iran. But it could also be used for Iran as well. So
Drones are very much like bees. We can all agree on that. Okay, they make similar noises. They're like,
yeah,
they can sting you. So he's definitely nailing the whole drone thing with the bees. Now we got the last quote: "Voice and galleys around 7 ships. A mortal war will be let loose." 7 ships? Does that sound like a blockade to you? I don't know.
sounds like a blockade to me. I think he nailed that
Uh,
one too.
Yeah, I think Nostradamus is cooking right now. Cooking just 4 months into the
I
year. How
know.
does he do it? How
Wild.
does he do it? Let us all channel Nostradamus and predict the future as well as he
Hmm.
did back in 16th century. When did do we know? Do we have a birth
Plus
date
or
year?
minus.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Beautiful. All right, let's do a quick round of buy, sell, hold to wrap this up and touch on some of the weekly topics. Let's start on Virginia's referendum happening tomorrow. So we're basically at 90 cents for the
Yep.
yes on Virginia passing. So let's actually take on margin in Virginia's redistricting referendum. Let's just tackle. I like approve 8 to 10, but let's just add up like approve 6 to 8 and 8 to 10. Both of them, if you add them up, it's like 44 cents.
Okay.
Do you think it's going to fall between 6 and 10% for Virginia, or do you think that's a little too expensive for that?
I mean, there's limited polling, so it's kind of problematic. Internal Democratic polling is a little higher. Um, what polls we have seen. I think there's a Washington Post poll that was out. And the amount of money that's been thrown into the race. Uh, Based on previous results elsewhere in the country, you got to think somewhere between that 6 and 12
Yeah,
for the Democrats. They seem to be delivering regularly in these
right.
special elections or referendums. It wasn't that long ago that Spanberger came into office. She's had some dips in her approval rating, but that
Yeah. Some
question is
key
so,
progressive legislation, I guess she's passed,
yeah,
or some of it's
yeah,
just been by
yeah.
executive
But
order.
the question is so loaded for the Democrats that it could go, I mean, 10, 15 at this point. I
It's a
don't
good
think it's that
read on
expensive.
where voters are at in terms of nuance. Are they going to
Yeah,
read through the referendum? All of these
right.
are really smartly clear about it's a one-time thing. I think they're
Yep,
all written really well like that. Like, no, in 2030, we're going back to normal. We're going back to
right.
whatever we had. I would typically say like, oh, 4 to 6% at 15 cents is a good buy. But I think you're right. Based on California's results, based on the Spanberger election,
Yep.
polling, even though it's only at like, I think it was averaging 5% win for the yes, you
Yeah,
probably have to, you think the margin of error is going to go the plus way and not the minus way. So I think it probably will fall from 6 to 8%. This is a tough one to nail, but if you buy up those middle contracts, you're probably going to be pretty safe. If the vote ends up
yeah,
at like 7% all night, you're not really going to be sweating this one.
yeah. I know. I think one thing to add at the moment is the fact that this isn't a fight to the death type market. Like it's temporary, right? And I think that
Hmm.
temporary change will kind of truncate turnout.
Hmm.
I don't on the Republican side because it's not
Absolutely.
permanent.
Right.
What are they fighting for? It'll
It's
change.
hard to like describe like, no, you should be angry about,
Yeah,
especially because you have Florida in your pocket. If you're like a tried and true Republican, you're like, I think we'll just probably counter it with Florida and
yeah.
it'll be. All right. Now we've got how many votes to confirm Kevin Warsh as Fed chair by May 30th. Right now, 51 or fewer votes is at 45 cents.
Yep.
That's pretty. I'm actually surprised by that. I thought we could probably get to 52 or 53. Right now, that's going for 14%. A little tough to. It's a thin market here in terms of action and liquidity, but is Kevin Warsh really going to struggle here? And is it because of Tillis?
It, it's all Tillis. I mean, it's all the DOJ, the investigation. That's the big X factor here. They drop it, and he cruises. He's got bipartisan support once he gets out of committee, but will he get out of committee? And Trump saying what he said last week, Wednesday, about Powell and firing him and questioning the Fed independence. I mean, geez, Louise, get your guy in there. Get your guy in there. Drop the DOJ thing. What's the point? because once Powell leaves, I mean, are you going to keep that investigation, or are you just going to drop it then, right? Or is Warsh going to have to deal with this investigation as the new Fed chair? So
Right.
what are you guys doing?
It's
Just
purely
drop.
personal. It really doesn't make too much sense, and no
Yeah,
one's advising him to keep this. You know,
right.
his visors are definitely not like, yeah,
And
he deserves it. You know, like I
I
don't
mean,
think that's the calling
and
card.
it's on top of it. It's not decided legal doctrine on the president or the chair pro tempore. So it could go either way. I mean, why? I mean, I don't think the Supreme Court is going to come riding to the rescue to. It could go. It's a 50-50 coin flip
Mhm.
because there is, precedent for the chair to stay on, but it's not written in stone. So you could drag this out for how many more months?
Just weird lack of focus.
Yeah, lack of focus.
It's
That's a good description of it.
all right. Let's end with, will Corey Mills leave the House before May? Right now, it's at 10 cents. Now we called last week's expulsion, if you will. Clearly, both of the representatives saw the writing on the wall, and they both resigned very quickly after we recorded,
Yes,
and we both said
very
these are
quickly.
good buys. So you gotta watch, you gotta listen. Good advice we give. Mills, 10 cents. Seems like he's not going anywhere himself. He's made that very clear. Can we get a vote against Mills before April 30th?
I don't think so. His investigation with the ethics department or ethics committee is ongoing. We have a Republican House. I don't think they're going to shove him out the door until that committee rules. Much the same with the Florida Congresswoman. I can never remember her name. Who had a public trial
Mm-hmm.
and found guilty of 25 or 27 counts or whatever it was, and she has a sanctioning hearing Tuesday.
Right.
Yes, tomorrow. And but no, Mills he's in flux. So with 10 days left in the month, uh, I don't have any inside information, if you will, on how that ethics committee investigation is going. So I don't
Yeah.
think he's going to be out anytime soon.
This is gonna be a procedural no here, basically. It's just gonna take too
Yeah,
long, is the
yeah.
answer. Which
Run
is
out the clock.
exactly. So you can buy no for 95 cents and, make a little bit of money in 10 days, but this is a bit much ado about nothing. I wonder if they'll eventually expel both of these. Another cancellation, Republican Democrat. So always fun, but Garth, thank you so much for hopping on. And
As always.
everyone, have a great week. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on YouTube.com/at PredictItOfficial, on Twitter @PredictItPod. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone.
All right.